Hello and welcome to My Two Cents. I am Parker Peters. This is the second episode of My Two Cents, the only show on the internet where I voice my opinion on things you probably don't care about. On the last episode I talked about Splatoon and the rumors of pedophilia therein. I talked about The Witcher 3 downgrade, and I believe I talked about one other subject, something about pre-orders, I can't remember. Anyway, a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I now have a Sega Saturn, so do with that information what you will. I have very few games for it. Free with the Saturn, I got this game, which is, what's this called? Crusader No Remorse. Never played this game, but I plan to. It looks pretty cool, like some sort of Fallout type RPG, a top-down RPG. I have Sega Sports, Daytona USA, shit, and a loose copy of World Series Baseball. In addition to those wonderful titles, I also have Virtua Fighter 2 with no case cover or manual, but Virtua Fighter 2 is the only really noteworthy game that I have here that I have played. I enjoy it. It's got really super realistic graphics. Aside from those wonderful games, I don't have any Sega Saturn games, and I have no idea where to start collecting, so if you have any suggestions for Sega Saturn games, please comment below. Some good Sega Saturn games for me to play. Now on to my 2 cents. Enjoy. There has been some discussion online recently, and not too recently, as to the state of hand-holding in video games. Like how every game seems to have a tutorial level, even if the premise is so simple it can be figured out before the start of that tutorial. When we look back in gaming, to the second, third, and fourth generations in gaming, as we should, there's some great games back then, we see that games most of the time lacked any sort of visible tutorial. That is to say, they had a tutorial, just not one that was visible to the player. Take Super Mario Bros. For example. In the original Super Mario Bros., you're presented with gameplay elements one at a time in World 1-1, and then the elements combine. For example, you're shown 2 platforms to jump between, then a little down the way, the same 2 platforms with a bottomless pit between them. You're given a simple task, and then it's made harder as you go on. They also teach you to activate question boxes in a very organic way. You're shown question boxes, but not told what to do with them. Then a Goomba gets in your face and forces you to jump, which will likely make you activate a box by accident, which in turn shows you the Super Mushroom. It's boxed in with the first pipe, so it's very hard to lose it, funneling it towards your grubby little Italian hands. This is organic game design, and it's something that we've sort of gotten away from in recent years. It seems every game, even a game as open as Skyrim, has a boring, on-rails intro level where you're totally not immersed, and you're presented with a wall of text for every new element that the game throws at you, instead of letting you explore and learn the world on your own. On top of that, Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto have popularized hand-holding cancer that I fear we will never be rid of. The magic compass. Yes, that thing at the top of your screen in Skyrim and that magic trail in GTA that leads you straight to your objective with no thinking involved. Even secrets. If you open your minimap in most of these games these days, you'll be provided with little icons pointing you in the way of every secret location, every hidden item. What kind of hidden item is marked on a map? This is getting ridiculous. But what's the alternative, you say? Well, this year The Witcher 3 came out and somehow it got it right. You're able to turn off the minimap and turn off all secret locations, turn off direction waypoints, and instead of all that clutter, you can rely on in-game instructions from NPCs. And those NPCs usually do a good job of pointing you in the right direction. Down by the pond there's a boulder. At the boulder, turn right. Go down that road until you reach a wagon. Just follow the same road after the wagon until you reach the witch's hut. Very detail-oriented directions that make it easy to find your way if you're listening. So I submit to you that we should do away with minimap markers for everything but the bare essentials, and by that I mean main quest markers, inns, shops, etc. I say we do away with on-screen minimaps and use The Witcher 3's system of relying on in-game directions to reach our goals. Of course, this excludes Grand Theft Auto, which I do think is better with a minimap, and besides, it takes place in modern times when GPSs are available, so that is somewhat forgivable. And lastly, I say we stop with the ridiculous hand-holding intros, and instead of tutorial levels, we introduce game worlds in an organic way, like Super Mario Bros. Gamers aren't retarded, so we should stop treating them like they are. Second thing I wanted to talk about today is that cinematic games aren't games. That statement might upset some people, but they are retarded, so screw them. games are things that you play, not things you watch. So if David Cage's next Oscar bait project seems like Game of the Year to you, I'm sorry, friend. David Cage makes great choose-your-own-adventure movies, but he doesn't make games. I liked Heavy Rain, but it wasn't like I was playing a video game. Spider Fighter from Activision is a video game, but Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Until Dawn, these aren't games. They're the digital equivalent to a choose-your-own-adventure book. Now this isn't a bad thing, but let's stop labeling things what they aren't. Furthermore, let's bring things back to The Witcher for a second. Hey lady in GameStop, I heard what you said, and I quote, "The Witcher 3's gameplay is too hard and it distracts from the story." Well, guess what? It's a video game, not a video story. Go watch Xena Warrior Princess or Conan the Destroyer, because that seems to be what you want, not a game. By all means, enjoy the story of a game, but at the end of the day, it's a game, and gameplay trumps all else in the game. Gameplay is more important than story, graphics, or anything else, so it sure as shit better be fun or it's going in the trash. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about, Fallout 4, and how its hype is unjustified. Why do I say this? Well, the internet in general has exploded with hype for Fallout 4, and it all seems to have congealed and been focused on my Facebook feed, and every bit of it is unjustified. Let's look at Fallout 4 for a sec. We've seen next to nothing about the game in earnest. Bethesda has a track record of either stretching the truth or outright lying, and the leaked footage from a certain review copy of the game looks a lot different from what Bethesda has shown us so far. But that's old hat, publishers lie all the time. What should really worry people is how hard Bethesda is pushing pre-orders for the game. When a developer pushes pre-orders so hard, and when they're given those pre-orders in the same volume they push them, they are no longer selling you a game. As I have said before, a pre-order is a purchase of a promise, the game to be sold to you sight unseen and before it is even completed. You're paying for a game that Bethesda hasn't even finished and for all you know could never intend to finish, but rather ship out unfinished and full of bugs. And why? Because you can't return it to GameStop once you've opened it. They know that once you realize that it isn't the product you were promised, that you can't do anything, that it's too late. Because as we all know, GameStop, Walmart, Target, none of these places will accept returns on an opened game. We saw this happen in the past. We saw it with the past few Assassin's Creed games. We saw it with the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight. Luckily, Steam came out with refunds right on time for Arkham Knight. And from what we've seen of the leaked footage of Fallout 4, this game is buggy, untested, and not at all what was promised. That is why hype and pre-orders in the volume they're being shit out for Fallout 4 is unjustified. You're free to think as you wish, and of course you're free to disagree with me, but pre-ordering a game whose developers beg for pre-orders so hard is downright unwise. Thank you for watching. I have been Parker Peters, your guide through the world of my opinions. Remember to leave your Sega Saturn suggestions in the comments below, and like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.